On October 19th, Huntington University President Blair Dowden announced his retirement after 21 years. The Huntingtonian editor sat down with President Dowden last week to discuss some of his best memories and biggest struggles. The Huntingtonian is proud to present the highs and lows of 21 years, an exclusive interview with President Blair Dowden.
21 years ago, we really felt like God was calling us to the institution. And throughout the years, as I've gotten other offers, we just felt like God wasn't calling us away, but we really started, 3 years ago, we started to have a feeling that maybe at the end of my contract, which is in May, that would be the right time to do it. I've learned in my years at Huntington that there never is a good time for anything. So as an illustration, I've had sabbaticals, and I think every time that I was going to take a sabbatical, I've said to the trustees, I'm not sure this is a good time. We have this going and this going and this going and this going. And they've always said, there never is a good time. You just need to do it. So I think that's true with this too. I think the next year we might have some other initiatives that'll be another 5 years out. So I think it is a good time for the institution. We have a strong faculty. We have a good administrative team, the corpus of our administrative team, and I feel good that the institution will make good progress going forward. It wasn't the greatest, most difficult decision, but it was an important one, and it wasn't fun, but it was necessary for moving forward as an institution. And I think in our social media age, it's so easy to make a comment, as you are aware, because people do it to you all the time, that make a comment that's uninformed before they get the facts. They think people think they have an opinion, they think they know, and they make a comment, and lo and behold, they didn't know. And like I said, you experienced that, and I think that happened with this situation as well, that people just shared an opinion, and everybody thought, well, that must be the right opinion. This is awful. The budget cuts are terrible. How could they do this? And I think it just kind of snowballed. It was before you were here, obviously, but it was in the early 2000s. Theological issue we had with Dr. John Sanders. That was probably the most difficult because it involved not only people in the community, and it split student, it split faculty to faculty, but it involved people outside too. So I got letters from all across the country. Some people had uninformed opinion, and they hadn't read anything. They just heard about it, heard what they thought he stood for, his theological position, and commented on that. Other people had more thoughtful comments, but that 2.5 year period of time was really quite taxing in a lot of ways. I still have, and I haven't looked at it, probably because it's somewhat painful, but I have a drawer that long right behind my desk, filled with just letters and speeches I gave, and things I said about the situation with Dr. John Sanders, and it was a time-consuming process, but it was a difficult process, I think, for our campus, because, like I said, it split the campus, and people had very strongly held views on both sides of the issue. Sometimes you find presidents not doing that, and when a new president comes in, they have to make some hard decisions, but I think it's probably easier for the outgoing president. And there's been a couple times that I've told the senior team, I said, if it doesn't work out, just blame it on me, that's fine. But I really think my task is to make the next president successful, and I love this institution. I want to make sure it's around a lot longer, and therefore I feel like I want to make some hard decisions to prepare the way. The next 180 days, or actually it's a little less now, will be to put together our business plan, to articulate what are the first majors that we're going to offer there, and then we'll say, second year we'll offer this, and third year we'll offer this. We'll put together some plans for operational things, building and equipment, those sorts of things, and then ask for some funding from them to do that experience. It is a really interesting environment because it's kind of it's a very fast-growing community, and they have lots of land available. They don't have any CCCU institutions, and they have very few private institutions. So I think the possibilities for us are pretty significant there. There's a couple models that are possible. We visited one school out there that has a campus. It's called Midwestern University. They have just graduate programs in the medical area. They have a campus in Illinois, and they have a campus in Peoria, Arizona, or actually Glendale, which is right next to Peoria. And how they solve it, which is kind of crazy, but they have the president spends 2 weeks on the Illinois campus, then she goes to the Glendale campus, spends 2 weeks there, and all their senior administrators do the same thing. So they crisscross sometimes. They're not all at one campus at the same time. That's one model. I don't think we'll pursue that, but it's a really important question. And the other important question is, I think we can initially transfer the DNA of Huntington to Peoria. Some of the important elements. But what happens 20 years from now? And you have folks in Peoria that have just been in Peoria. They really don't know Huntington, Indiana. What happens then? And I think we need to think through those things and make sure that that's not an independent institution and it's different than Huntington, Indiana. Because of our culture, which is a wonderful culture, I think we need a president that is collaborative, that works well with students and faculty and staff to try to discern where we're going as an institution. That's one of the things I love about Huntington, that we have students that aren't shy to share opinions. We have faculty that aren't shy to share opinions, staff that aren't shy to share opinions, and that's a good thing. I think my advice to a new president would be communicate well, depend on the Lord, don't take yourself too seriously, and relish every opportunity you have. Sometimes the presidential role is so busy that you're busy 15, 16, 17 hours a day, and sometimes you don't take time to, and this is cliche, smell the roses, but that's exactly what it is. You don't take time to really enjoy the experience, and I think this last year I'm trying to do that. That I'm trying to enjoy the various experiences, even though it's going to be an incredibly busy year. So I think those are some of the things I would say to a new president, and I probably should have said to myself when I came in. I just realized that I've been here longer than some of you have been born, isn't it? Well, that makes you feel old.